In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at dividing a polynomial by a trinomial using synthetic division when the trinomial we're dividing by has an a value other than 1. I already have a video that shows if the a value is 1, so this is what it looks like if the a value is not 1. So the a value here is 3. We're dividing by 3x squared minus 6x plus 1. So now, in order to know what numbers you put to the left of the synthetic division symbol, you take the 3x squared minus 6x plus 1, and I'm going to factor a 3 out of it. I'm going to factor the a value out. And so if I factor 3 out of 3x squared, I get x squared. If I factor 3 out of negative 6x, I get negative 2x. And now 3 doesn't factor evenly out of 1, but then to factor it out, we would just divide the 1 by 3. That's what you do when you're common factoring, you're dividing. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. That's why it's negative 2x. So 1 divided by 3 would be a third. And of course, we can check this. 3 times a third gives you 1. Okay, so that is correct. So let's start the synthetic division now. The coefficients are 6, negative 9, negative 19, 36, and negative 9. So that's the numbers you put there. And this is what the synthetic division symbol looks like. So remember, there's a dotted line in the middle here when you're dividing by a trinomial. We're going to put numbers in here, one row of numbers, and then there's 2 rows of numbers here, so you need twice the space in here that you do in there. And what goes out left here are the opposite symbols of the linear coefficient, so it's negative 2x, so we'll put a positive 2, and the opposite sign of the constant at the end, so negative a third goes here. And so the first thing you do is the 6 comes down here and the negative 9 comes right down here. Now the 2 is going to be multiplied by the numbers on the bottom here, and we'll put those right in the space here. The negative a third is going to be multiplied by the same values, but that's what's going to go in here. So let's start that. 2 times 6 is 12, and negative a third times 6. Remember, in order to do that, you would multiply the negative. I'll just do this over here and then I'll erase it. Negative a third multiplied by 6. Remember 6 is the same as 6 over 1. So 3 goes into 6 twice. And so we have negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2. And the denominator would be 1. I mean, if you want to write that, you can, but that's just equal to negative 2. So that's why that's a negative 2 there. And we'll get rid of that. So now we add negative 9 added to 12. In synthetic division, you add. So negative 9 added to 12 is positive 3. And negative 19 plus negative 2 would be negative 21. Now we need to multiply again. So the 2 is going to multiply by the 3, and that'll be a 6 right here. And negative a third times 3 will be negative 1. So we'll put a negative 1 right there. And we add again. So negative 21 added to 6 would be negative 15. And 36 plus negative 1, or 36 minus 1, would be 35. And one last time we're going to multiply. So 2 times the negative 15 would be negative 30 here. And negative a third times negative 15 would be negative 5, so we'll put that there. And we add one last time. So 35 and negative 30 add to 5, or 35 minus 30 is 5. And negative 9 plus 5 would be negative 4, and we bring that right down here. So the synthetic division is finished. So what this synthetic division means is this. So now I've divided this quartic, fourth order polynomial, 6x to the fourth minus 9x cubed minus 19x squared plus 36 minus 9. And so the numbers mean this. So the 6, 3, negative 5, that is the quotient. So that means 6x squared plus 3x minus 15. 3, 6, 3, negative, I think I said negative 5, it's negative 15 here. So 6x squared plus 3x minus 15. And now, I didn't actually divide it by 3x squared minus 6x plus 1 because I factored the 3 out and just used 2 and negative 1/3. So I've actually only divided it by this. So that's why there's x squared minus 2x plus a third here from these two numbers. Now to see what you would get if we actually divide it by 3x squared minus 6x plus 1 is we can factor a 3 out of this. And if you couldn't, then you would there might be a few fractions. But we factor a 3 out of this, and then that 3 gets multiplied into here. I'll put this down here. So 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times negative 2x is negative 6x. 3 times the third is 1. So there's we'd have actually did do, in the end, when we do this little bit of factor in the end, this is how it looks like if you actually divide it by 3x squared minus 6x plus 1. So then the quotient would be 2x squared plus x minus 5, and again the 5x minus 4 is the remainder. In the synthetic division, that's the remainder. When you're dividing only by a binomial, there's only a one spot here, so the remainder in that case is a constant always. But that's what it looks like. Now, how does this compare to the long division? This is what the long division looks like, and you actually do get, or you can, divide by the whole trinomial. You don't have to factor the 3 out. So this is where all the terms come if you do this by long division. So we divide 3x squared into 6x to the fourth, and you get 2x squared. And then that 2x squared gets multiplied by each of these terms, and that's what goes here, here, and here. Don't worry about the colors. I'll talk about the colors in a moment. So 2x squared times 3x squared is 6x to the fourth. 2x squared times the negative 6x is minus 12x cubed. And 2x squared times the 1 is 2x squared. And then in long division, you subtract. So 6x to the fourth minus 6x to the fourth is nothing. We don't put anything there. Negative 9x cubed minus negative 12x cubed would actually be negative 9x cubed plus 12x cubed because we're subtracting a negative. So you get 3x cubed, and this is subtracted negative 21x squared, and of course you bring the next term down to 36x. Then we divide the 3x squared into 3x cubed and get an x. So that x multiplies by all of these, and those are the 3 terms that go right in here. And then we subtract. So those subtract to 0. This subtracts to negative 15x squared. 36x minus 1x is 35x. And one last time we bring a number down. Well, a number in this case, the constant negative 9, not a term like the 36x. And one last time we'll divide the 3x squared into negative 15x squared, giving us a negative 5. So we put a negative 5 there. The negative 5 gets multiplied by these 3 terms, which are those 3 terms right there. And we subtract. So the negative 15x squared subtract to 0. 35x minus 30x is 5x, with the same 5 as here. And negative 9 minus negative 5 is the same as negative 9 plus 5, which is negative 4. So the 5x minus 4, or 5 and negative 4, come from here. That's the same numbers that are right there. So that's the remainder. So notice that this is the same trinomial as here. 3x squared minus 6x plus 1, same as what's here. There's a lot of parallels between the long division, synthetic division. So for example, and I'll bring this 1 in here. This is actually an x here, but I'm going to put a 1 beside it just so I can emphasize these numbers. So for example, the negative 2, negative 1, and 5, the opposites of those are these 3 coefficients here. The 12, 6, negative 30, the opposites are those coefficients right there. The negative 9, negative 21, 35, negative 4 are actually the same sign numbers as negative 9, negative 21, 35, and the negative 4 here. So all the numbers in here have some kind of counterpart in the synthetic division. So that's what it looks like when you're dividing by a trinomial. You'll use synthetic division when the leading coefficient, we often call a, is not 1. And that's the end of the tutorial.